Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at day 82 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2019. Thank you all so much for being with me today. Our tangle is going to be Meshmerize by Tomàs Padrós. I am a little addicted to his patterns. I know a lot of other people are too. However, I know some of you are really intimidated by them. So I'm hoping that we can sort of put a spin on this that will help relax you into these where you can enjoy them. And let's get started. So Meshmerize is one of those that starts with a dot grid. Tomàs has a lot of this type because I think of the type of drawing that he teaches in Barcelona, which is really interesting. So it starts with a dot grid, and you want to make your dots little circles or orbs, however you care to describe them. And here's where I have the problem, is getting each row lined up correctly and making my dots approximately the same size. Okay, and you're going to want to continue. And if you're working on a tile, you just want to fill your space that you're working in with these little dots. Now, the squares don't have to be perfect, but Tomàs's patterns tend to have their greatest effect, and maybe I'm wrong about that, when they're tidier, although I don't know, I may be wrong about that. I'm going to have to look up everyone's work on Tomàs and see what people have been doing with his patterns. So it'll be an interesting exploration. All right, so my tip for this, for those of you who are like me with that struggle with a disability or illness, my tip for you is to pencil a square grid. Wow. Well, guys, God love me. Oh my goodness. So pencil a square grid about the size that you're going to want this to be, right? And then, excuse me, take your pen and at each corner where the lines intersect, put your dots there. And that's going to give you a much more uniform, well, assuming that your square grid is decent, it's going to give you maybe a more comfortable way of doing this, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and try to be real with this and start here. Okay, now this is another one like we did in Taiga that is going to have a Huggins-like join up. And when I say Huggins, I'm referring to the Zentangle original pattern Huggins, where you join two little dots with a slightly curved line, and you take off from one circle and you land in the other one. Okay, so what I want you to do now is repeat this on each row. Go ahead and black in if you like, or you can save that and do it all at the end. Just as in the pattern we did Taiga, you're going to want to sort of cap these off and make sure that your circles follow down to the line so that you can get that sort of woven look. And like I said, you can do that now, or you can save that for a step when you do them all together. So just a slight curve in your line. Sometimes mine get a little too ambitious with curving, but that's okay too. There are no rules in Zentangle. There are best practices and maybe rules of thumb, but no one in the Zentangle community should ever tell you that you're wrong for doing something a particular way, because that would not be the Zentangle method. That would be someone's opinion. All right, so I want you to skip space, all right? And then I want you to repeat what we just did on this line or row. or column. Help me, guys. I'm a mess today. I'm having teenager problems at 9. What does that say for my teenage years? I don't know. It's a little scary. You guys are going to be training me if you have kids. Drop me parent wisdom. All right. Okay. And so this row, again, would be this column, sorry. Guess it's a row if you turn your paper the other way, isn't it? This column would be skipped, and then these would be heading back up to repeat that. Yeah? Now that I started that, I should just do this. Thank goodness we're not going to aura these, because that causes me problems. We are going to enjoy our microns today, is what we're going to do. And I will show you how in a minute. Okay, next step is to start here on the right side, or if you're a lefty, on the left side of the column you just did. And you're going to join these over in Huggins fashion. Now, you will see that if I tried to join this under, that would not work here, right? So you kind of have to do it this way. And that's a good thing, because that keeps me from getting so confused. And you're going to again repeat this all the way down this column. Blacking as you go. And again, we will do this over, because again, that's really the only way. That one got really excited. But if that happens to you, it's okay. Just black it in. You're going to be all right. And when you make that, just make sure you don't leave any spaces there. So that looks like sort of that hole that we had in Taiga. And I'm talking about the pattern we did several days ago. Don't ask me what day it was, but it was also by Tomàs and called Taiga. D-A-I-G-A. Well, okay, here we are. It's already starting to look kind of cool, I think. I hope. So let's finish up and see how we do. All right, your next step is pretty simple. You're going to want to draw a straight line through here and go under where these are joined. So let me show you. Just pick the midpoint of your square, okay? And stop when you get to your first set of lines. And then skip these two and keep going straight. And skip those two and keep going straight. Yes? All right, and that repeats the midpoint of each one of those squares or dots. And, you know, try to do a better job than I did here. And we're just going to draw in hollabah fashion these lines behind where we are sort of giving that woven look. And the woven look in Zentangle is actually not a thing. The cool thing is they have patterns that simulate the woven look, and so that's pretty cool. All right. Now, we're going to spend some time with our microns doing a little bit of rounding. And the way that's going to go, and I'm going to show you a hint so that you don't get confused about where you're going to round, okay? The places we're going to round, really up close here, is going to be right here. If I can do it without shaking. Apparently I can't. And what we're going to do is we're going to sort of sculpt this line into a curve. Okay? All right. So the way you know if you're in the right place for inking is you want the place where you're going to look along this straight line that goes through, and every place you see on either side where it comes to a point, so here and here, here and here, and if you'll notice they're diagonal opposites, that's where you're going to round, okay? So if it's not like that, say here, they do come to a point, okay, maybe my analogy isn't very good, but a better point. How about that? It's not a square, not a 90-degree thing. It's more of a, okay, I can't do math. I can't do geometry either. Hopefully that whole very confused explanation doesn't confuse you worse. I cannot. All right. Okay. So where they come to a smaller point here, this is where we're going to do, and not where it's a 90-degree angle, okay? And again, we're going to do diagonal opposite sides. Now you can round the other part, but then you start losing your pattern. And see, that one is 90 or more, so we don't want that. We want the diagonal opposite. Okay. Now please forgive me for the shaky work today. For some reason, I just cannot get my feet under me. And I have a very hot room. My bedroom is in a very hot place. And last summer I had a window air conditioner in here, and there was so much extracurricular noise on the videos that I am trying not to do that this year. Again, I'll be glad when we move into a place where we can sort of have a little more room and a few less issues. So, understanding that this is not the best job, right? But hopefully it's clear on this pattern. Diagonal opposites along the line that we put in through the middle of these squares. Okay? Now, in Linda Farmer's, and again, I just don't know what to say about this mess, but again, on Linda Farmer's example, she did not shade this, but on Tomàs's he does, and it makes a significant cool difference to the pattern. So let me show you how he does that, and it's not very complicated, so yay for me. And by the way, when you do these, you know, feel free to make them a little wider if you want to. It'll give you a little bit different look. I know in some of Tomàs's, he has sculpted these really, and he has put, there are some that he puts a slight wavy line for this. I mean, really slight, more like, and then skips, and then sort of like that, just a teeny tiny curve in there. So, okay, what he does on his is he does some shading right down along the bottom where you have your line. Question, guys. Would you rather I didn't upload videos on days when I shake this badly? I would totally understand if that's the way you felt about it, but you know, if it's just really irritating, please let me know in comments, and I'll try to figure something out. I don't know what, but I'll try to figure it out. Then you're also going to want to shade in these areas where it comes together. Okay, so let's blend this out. I don't know where my tiny tortillon went, but I'm going to use this huge one for today. This is actually a paper stump. You can tell, pointed at both ends. Yeah, I don't think they make tortillons this big. This is one of the ones I use with my blending solution for colored pencils. I also had a good tip. I want to say it was from Judy Morgan that suggested I get a cheap makeup brush, like for for putting on blush, and use that to blow away my eraser goo. Not that we have that in Zentangle. And sort of blend this out, and again, I am doing a horrible job today, but just to illustrate one area of this. Let me zoom out a little bit so you're not seeing all the yucky and you can see more of the effect. Maybe not so heavy on the graphite on this one for me. I have just been a graphite crazy woman lately. And clearly I don't have my blush brush yet for this. So, okay. So that's one section, and you see that shading really does enhance the woven look and really pop it out. Okay. Holy crap. Okay. Pretty disappointed in that, I have to say. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Okay. Well, I think that's all I'm gonna be able to fit. So we're gonna see what happens if you can't get the whole thing in there. And we're gonna see how that looks. I should probably come over a little bit, but it'll be okay. And then this will be here, because I am not trying to curve this. Okay. Yeah, that's all we're going to fit in here. So, and sorry for the cheating. I know that's not the true Zentangle method, but I really, in this space, I really needed to know how to do this. So there you go. So I'm going to start right here. And make a little Huggins join there. And then I am going to resist the urge to spread out, and I'm going to follow the step out exactly. I think I'm going to move this row up a little bit. Don't get too curly with those. Okay. Okay, and so we're skipping that one, but that's going to go... Okay, so now it's time to do the overhand one, or the overstroke. Like that. You know, we didn't fit much in here, but this is still going to be a cute, not cute, but cool part of the pattern, I think. Which we're not done yet, so I'll reserve judgment, but... So this one would be an overstroke. I'm just trying to make sure I've got these all straight. And so let's put this right here. This is going to be a long one. And so this is going to be this way. Try to be very careful. Go in order so you don't get confused on where you're at with the pattern. I say this because I had this issue earlier while I was practicing, and I don't want you guys to have that problem. And then these will just take up, sort of like, I should have gone like this more, but, and I should have left it, huh? Boy, my language has been terrible lately. Indicative of my stress level, I think. Well, I'm going to try Tomàs's little slightly wavy line. Trying not to get too crazy with it. And that would be here, I think. Okay, so we've got a little bit in there. A little bit extra even. Okay, and you know, you could aura this just like we did in Taiga, but I don't think I have enough room for that. And that's going to make it very busy looking. So let's finish with our, so find your points where it comes together and do your diagonal opposites. And just sculpt these little corners, sort of like you do in Zeppel, in the Tangle pattern in Zeppel. That's, well, I'll put the name in editing for you so you know what I'm talking about. By the way, I wanted to mention that I talk to you guys as if you're tanglers, and sometimes I forget that there are people that are not familiar with Zentangle watching these sometimes, and I want you guys to know that if you have questions and I don't address them, I try to remember to be clear, but I relax into it and sort of feel like my audience is with me, and so forgive me if I don't explain clearly enough. Be sure and drop your questions in comments if you have any. I am happy to answer. Sometimes it takes me a day or two to get them all. Not that there are that many. Don't forget to comment, guys. Lets me know you're there. All right. I actually don't think this is bad. Except for that, and again, once we shade it, I don't think anybody's going to notice it. Okay, I actually like this. You know, on some of these that are round, I'm gonna, whoops, try not to shake so much, and sort of square these out. To give it a little bit more continuous look. If that makes any sense, instead of a curly Q there. And you can leave it, it doesn't matter, it's up to you. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's shade it, and we'll be done. And I am sorry this has been out of frame a little bit. I try really hard to keep up with everything that's happening while I'm recording, but sometimes it's a fail. All right. Okay, so I'm again going to shade each of these areas, and I'm going to right now remind myself not to put too much graphite down. This is one of those times where you could load your tortillon. I think I've shown you before with graphite like that. And then, or you can load it on a scratch piece of paper and rub your tortillon in, and that way you don't have to actually put the pencil to the paper. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just very lightly, for me, laying down a little bit. I'm not putting it into the tooth of the paper, I'm just sort of dropping it on top. The tooth of the paper is what the surface of the paper is called. Some surfaces are smooth, some I don't know if that's teeth or not. Some paper has a smooth tooth and some have a rough one. These Opus tiles are like the original Zentangle tiles, and I'm working on an Opus tile now, and they're really nice, but you don't have to press very hard because they have a nice rough tooth that grabs the graphite really easily and keeps it. So I'm not having to scrub very hard here. So just shade along the bottom of each of these, skip the ones that are going down, and shade where your lines are perpendicular to each other. And that should be it. All right, let's blend this out. We'll call it a day, and I'm going to be here tomorrow for day 83. Holy cow, wow. It has been such a journey. I have got some really good ideas for what I want to do when we're finished with this. One of the things I want to announce right now so that people have a chance to respond to me before I'm ready to do something is that if you have a pattern, whether it's on Tangle Patterns or not, and if you are the one that has deconstructed it, and if you would like for us to do an pattern exploration, I would love to start doing some of those. It may be that the community can give feedback on your patterns, or give you some inspiration, or I know when I first had a couple of patterns that Linda had turned down, and I have to say, Linda gets a tough rap sometimes. I myself have been frustrated sometimes with the fact that, we'll send in patterns, or friends have sent in patterns that won't be accepted, and then someone else who's better known will send one in that's, the same issue with that one, and that one will be published. But I want to say that she has a lot of patterns, and she does research on each and every one of them, and she puts a lot of time in. She has the right to decide. That said, I also believe there are a lot of patterns that don't fit the technical Tangle criteria that Maria Thomas has given, that are still excellent patterns and lots of fun, and absolutely have their place in Zentangle drawing. So, and it doesn't have to be tangles, guys. You don't have to have tangles. You can draw any pattern you want. It can, be whatever you want. So don't let that kind of stuff intimidate you. Don't let other people's comments stop you from trying something you want to try. I'm going to tell you again, do what you want. This is supposed to be relaxing, not thought-provoking, and not stressful. This is supposed to be about the drawing. And that's what I want it to be about here. So I need a little more graphite right here. I know what any Oaken would say. Cindy, don't leave that white stripe. She actually does not do that, by the way. I know I tease about her saying that, but it's because I run the types of things that she says in her lessons through my head while I'm doing this, and so I commentate for her, and that isn't fair. She is the kindest, best critiquer I have ever known, and she is able to give quality commentary without hurting anyone's feelings and leave you feeling really motivated to try after that. I know I talk about Annie a lot. I know. She has meant so much to me. So that's where we're at. Day 82. I'll see you tomorrow.